Okay, I'm going to look at the phone sample before I've put anything into it. You can see that I have everything is just huge here. We haven't added any columns. These are just rows. So let's take a look at the code and then how we're going to modify it. So that's our phone layout. I'm going to minimize that and we'll come back to it after we've modified it. And I'm going to want to open the phone HTML here. And we should also take a quick look at the styles. And so I'm going to pull Explorer closed to take this into split view so that we can have styles on this side, phone here, don't need index anymore. All right, let's take a look at how it's actually written and then how we're going to modify it. We're going to take a bit of a look at the code first. So I'm in here, and again, we have that viewport that's essential, and these are your custom styles. The rows are critical. They reset the flow of the page. And you can see on this side, let's take a quick look at the CSS before we begin. I've set box sizing to border box, and the padding to 0, and the margin to 0 on everything, so we can take control of that. For my div, I've set padding to 5 pixels. For images, I've set them to a width of 80%, a height of auto display block, and a margin of 15px auto. Most of this stuff doesn't really affect the layout. The layout is all being done up in the top of the page, so we really don't need to look at that page again. All right, so what are we doing here? We're working with custom styles, and again, I've given you the start. So we have a class called row, and I've got a border here with solid red, and then I have a row after. This colon after means that when the row closes, the content will reset. It's going to clear floats right or left and set the display style to table. This is part of setting up that sort of grid framework. Then I have a class that is for columns, and this is for everything that starts with COL hyphen. That's what this asterisk does, is it makes this sort of like a wildcard. We're setting every column to float left with a padding of pixels, and I've got a 3 pixel solid purple border. I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller. And then we've got for mobile phones, class that starts with columns, we're setting a width to 100%. So we're just setting everything here. Everything is going to be for the phones. So we have rows set up. So we have a class of row, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to add classes to columns. So we could have multiple columns in here, and ultimately there are going to be 5 columns here. So I can just do this using Emmet by doing .col, because it's a column, hyphen times 5, because this is just adding columns to it, and we don't have preset widths at this point. So I can then put, well, didn't need to do that. These are already in divs. I can just add the class to them because I set it up already. So I can do a set of class equals COL hyphen. And I can copy and paste because that's the most important thing in programming, is knowing how to copy and paste. And I'm going to show you what that does, and then I'm going to show you what the finished project looks like and where the sample is. So this is pretty much not going to give you a lot of choices because everything at this level is going to just have that class added to it. But let me save it and show you what it's doing. You'll finish the rest of this. So for each row, every div after that needs to have that class added to it. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I will show you the finished one. So let's go ahead and open up Firefox, because that's where the sample is. And here, and you can see I have now added rows, or I'm sorry, columns to each one of these. So the red is a column and the purple is a row. Now if we look at the finished version, and that one has dotted lines. We can take a look at the phone here, and this is what it should look like when you're done. You're welcome to go here and take a look at the source code, and you're going to see that here I have added the column class just by copying and pasting to every div between the different rows. And that's what you need to do to finish that page.